Gender-Responsive Climate Policies Introduction. A recent synthesis report by the UN Climate Change Secretariat highlights a significant rise in gender-responsive climate policies globally. This trend follows the adoption of the UNFCCC Lima Work Programme on Gender, LWPG, in 2014 and its enhancement in 2019, which aimed to integrate gender considerations into climate action and reporting. Key findings: increased gender references. Approximately 81% of parties to the Paris Agreement now include gender references in their nationally determined contributions, NDCs, a notable increase from 2015 when very few NDCs mentioned gender. Strengthening institutional mechanisms. About 62.3% of parties reported efforts to enhance institutional mechanisms for integrating gender considerations into climate actions. Commitment to gender equality. Around 55.7% of parties affirmed their commitment to gender equality in climate action, recognizing its critical importance for effective climate strategies. Impact on food security. The report emphasizes that climate change threatens food security, with women, who contribute significantly to food production in developing countries, disproportionately affected by climate impacts. Vulnerability considerations. While the report highlights women's heightened vulnerability, it also notes that men in vulnerable situations are often overlooked in policy planning. Recommendations for future actions. The report outlines several recommendations for enhancing gender-responsive climate policies. Enhancing climate initiatives. Stakeholders view gender-responsive strategies as essential for improving the ambition and effectiveness of climate initiatives. Global Stocktake outcomes. The outcomes from the first global stocktake at the 28th Conference of Parties encourage parties to implement gender-responsive policies. Next round of NDCs, NDCs 3.0, the upcoming submission of NDCs in 2025 is a critical opportunity to strengthen collaborative efforts towards achieving gender equality alongside effective climate outcomes. Importance of gender equality in climate action. Impact on agriculture. Women play a crucial role in agriculture but often lack equal access to resources and decision-making processes. Equal access could increase farm yields by 20–30%, potentially alleviating hunger for millions. Land ownership and resource control. Women represent a third of the global agricultural workforce but only 12.6% are landowners, limiting their access to aid and increasing vulnerability. Decision-making and climate leadership. Involving women in decision-making is vital for effective climate policies, yet their participation is hindered by unpaid care work and disaster recovery burdens. Impact on education and employment. Climate stressors can restrict access to education and labor markets for women, perpetuating disempowerment and increasing risks of gender-based violence during disasters. Examples of gender-responsive actions. Bhutan has trained gender focal points across ministries to coordinate gender equality initiatives. Zimbabwe has established a renewable energy fund to create entrepreneurship opportunities for women. Uzbekistan's pilot green mortgage scheme has enabled women-headed households to access low-carbon energy technology. Uruguay has implemented a gender-responsive monitoring system to track NDC impacts on gender equality. Improving gender-responsive climate policies. Conducting gender analysis. Assessing how climate change affects different genders helps identify inequalities and tailor policies accordingly. Gender-responsive budgeting. Ensuring equitable funding distribution fosters inclusive solutions. Integrating gender equality objectives. Aligning climate policies with gender equality goals promotes structural changes necessary for addressing climate crises. Promoting gender balance in stakeholder engagement. Encouraging diverse representation improves policy effectiveness. Supporting developing countries. Developed nations should adopt successful approaches from developing countries to foster a global framework for gender-responsive climate action. Conclusion. The integration of gender considerations into climate policies is essential not only for achieving effective climate action but also for promoting social justice and resilience against climate impacts. Collaborative efforts among all stakeholders are vital for advancing this agenda globally.